Okay, you guys, so we are at part 3. I think something's up with my OBS, so as a result of that, I have to constantly put the freaking link back in, and the restream code. I don't know why. Lewis doesn't have to deal with this, but for me, I always have this kind of issue. Who knows? Okay, so as I had mentioned, this is part 3. This is going to be the last part over here. But yeah, overall, I think that I hope that by you guys listening to everything, that you guys just kind of look at things not through just like a first world country kind of thing. Try to imagine yourself if you're living off the land and how you would live. You would not want to have animal rights people who have the ability to shop at major grocery stores and deal with online shopping telling you, hey, you guys got to get with the time. Why do you live like that? Why don't you be more advanced like we are? It it's not a good look. It's a very gross kind of look when people talk about others in that way. And I hope these kind of things change. So, as I had mentioned, I want to go back on the live stream that I did earlier and talk about the chat because I do know that I missed quite a bit. And that's just because I didn't want this thing being super freaking long over here. But I do know that. Hold on. Oh, crap. I missed it. Where is it? Hold on. I gotta go back to my chats. One moment. One moment. One moment. One moment. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like people they want people to live like how they are, and it's not right. It's not right to diss people who are indigenous, and I don't want people having this kind of thought where they think the indigenous people are just beneath them. So I would say, right, like if you can think about if your stance about, let's say, fur or seal skin is a certain way, ask yourself, is it because you are forming your own opinions, or is it because you are listening to what animal rights groups are telling you, and then you disregard what the reality of the situation is, which are these people are trying to survive. I am, and I've shared it before, right? I am completely for sealskin. I think that these people should be allowed to export sealskin, especially because this is an animal of least concern. This is stuff that people could use around the world. And sealskin doesn't have that reputation like of it being a luxury skin. This is not ivory. This is not tiger skin. I think that this would be a very practical skin. And talking about leathers, right? There are other leathers out there besides beef leather and sheepskin and calf skin and ostrich skin and alligator skin. There are actually people who use salmon skin. Yes, salmon. Salmon that you eat. People are trying to make salmon skin products out of that leather and then market it as, hey, this is leather that we already have because people eat salmon. However, it hasn't really caught up at all. I've looked into salmon skin leather. I was kind of curious about it. People have also done other fish leathers as well. But yeah, nobody gives crap about salmon skin because people eat salmon, right? You figure, like, if Alaskans were selling, hey, we're going to sell you our wild Alaskan caught salmon, and then if you want, you can buy some Alaskan caught and raised leather. And if you like salmon, you might as well just buy the accompanying leather belt with it. I don't think it would be a bad thing. But once you start talking about cute, cuddly creatures like seals, that's when people get really irked. They get really agitated. But again, I see it as a numbers game. I do not put the seal above the salmon just because the seal is cute. In fact, salmons are more endangered than seals, but everybody just likes to hyper focus on the seals because the seals are cute. Yeah, yeah. So Bite Me says, let's see PETA live naturally vegan in the Arctic surface while they're starving to death. They are not going to do that, Bite Me. What they're going to do is they're going to say, those people, they're just going to sit in their warmed homes, right, with electricity, with conveniences, eating broccoli and bananas and cashews and Brazil nuts, and say, oh, these people need to stop being so cruel to the seals. And it comes from such a privileged position, right? So I don't think those people could live off. I don't know any vegan Inuits, right? Can you imagine? How would you stay warm in Alaska if you're not using fur and you're not relying on shipping, if you're not relying on globalization? What are you going to do? Cut a tree down and then what, use a tree bark? Is that how you stay warm? Because there's no trees really out there except maybe tree bark. I don't think there is, at least. And you see it, it's like an ice landscape. Antarctica isn't known for corn. Antarctica isn't known for having tomatoes and salad over there, right? And even if you do, you would rely heavily on fossil fuels as well. You'd have to make sure wherever greenhouse farming or whatever land you have has a greenhouse effect in there, and then you have to keep the temperature a certain temperature to grow your lettuce or something. So animals being bred for fur is a big no. Ban animals being bred for food then use fur. Okay, so who eats mink? Did you know? Okay, so Ziamara. Okay, let me tell you this. Do you know mink their meat is actually used for animal pet foods? Seriously. So a lot of what minks are fed are animal like organs. You know, foods that cannot be sold by grocery stores. So it's actually, from what I've been reading, it's very environmentally friendly. So you know all the stuff like expired cheeses and stuff the supermarkets can't sell? They give that stuff to the minks. And then the minks, when they are harvested for the fur, the meat is used for certain things, like the poop is used for fertilizer. I'll show it to you guys, okay? Let's talk about it. Here we go. See this? Where's the minks? Mink farming. What do minks eat? Where is it? Here we go. So here is the article, ZMR. So I've watched a few mink videos, and then they say that a lot of the food that mink are fed, this is stuff that humans won't eat. And then also, right, it's like the stuff, it's not like we're competing for food from the minks. See? Fish. Fur farmers rely on byproducts from meat and poultry processing plants, dairy producers. In producing 100,000 minks pelts a year, one farm in Wisconsin feeds its animals 2 million pounds of expired cheeses and 1 million pounds of damaged eggs. So if they didn't feed it to the minks, it would be going straight to the landfill. So by doing this, right, they're feeding animals, they're raising the animals, then they get to sell the pelts, then the meat itself, right, where does the meat go to? It goes, the mink fat goes over to mink oil over here, and then the meat is used for crab bait, wildlife preserves, compost, then you got pet food, organic fertilizer, all this stuff. The poop goes on to fertilizer. So although humans don't eat it, animals can eat it. I mean, decomposing. Okay, so decomposed, right? Where would all this stuff go to? You think that there's going to be a huge composter readily accepting all this stuff? It's much better to just put it in a mink farm, in my opinion, because the mink's poop, it goes to fertilizer. This is stuff that it's like they don't want to produce that much waste anyway. I've watched videos where they're harvesting rabbits, right? They have a rabbit farm. The people eat rabbit meat, and then the fur goes off to being used for pelts and whatnot. But it's like a lot of the stuff, it's like they don't want to have millions and millions of pounds of meat just sitting around there. So it's in their best interest to try and find a use for it. So I rather see it as like all this stuff is going out to for the animals. Same with Las Vegas. If you guys remember this, right? Let's talk about this. Las Vegas buffet food waste pig farm. So you know those buffets in Las Vegas? See, the pig farmers were actually using that food to feed their pigs, and then when COVID happened, right? The farmers had to go ahead and get the food elsewhere. See? So they were getting 20 tons of food from casinos and restaurants every day to feed their pigs. Where would all this food go? Where would you transport 20 tons of food a day? Into the landfill? You think a composting company wants to get 20 tons of food a day? No, it's better off in the pigs. You feed the pigs, and then you can sell the meat. So they kept stuff out of the landfills. So when they're raising those pigs, they have to figure a way to feed them. And I thought it was a good way of reusing Las Vegas buffet food. Nah, but see, like Hannah brings up a good point, right? Like, why do people care so much about the minks? Why don't people care more about like the ugly animals? It's because like the minks are cute, like ferrets, and ugly animals not so much. If there was a mink farm, I mean like a rat farm, I don't think people would care about it. If like a nutria rat was being farmed, nobody would care because people would say rats are gross, ew, rats, like let's not support that. Let's go after the cute little creatures. And I don't look at things as like a whole, is this animal cute or is it not cute kind of thing. Because if you do that kind of thinking, then you're casting a blind eye to the other animals as well. I don't see, for all the people who are very much pro against, let's say, oh, we shouldn't have animals being raised in cages. I don't see these people going out and advocating for the rights of chickens, chickens and factory farming. Nobody cares about the chickens. But everybody, a lot of people eat eggs, right? So ask yourself, why do people care more about minks than chickens? It's because chickens aren't as cute as minks. And there's a flaw. There's a flaw over there, right? It's like you gotta look at it from a bigger thing than just like, oh, is this kind of animal cute? If the animal's cute, then I support saving it. But if it's not cute, then I don't care about it. I don't want to waste time talking about it. I have seen a factory chicken farm. Factory chicken farm is horrible. That's the reason why I'm a big fan of pasture raised eggs. No, think about it, right? Do you see anybody petitioning about like, oh, let's talk more about saving the chickens instead of saving the minks? Not really. You got more people who care about caged minks than they care about caged chickens. But right, as you guys see, minks, it's like they're eating a lot of the waste. I don't think it's a bad thing. And then, do you know how the minks are killed? How they're dispatched? They gas them, so they're not getting hung upside down with their throats being cut like chicken. The minks are getting put into a box. They get gassed, and then they're unconscious Ta-da! That's a lot more humane than a lot of chickens, in my opinion. I look up this stuff. You know what I would say? It's hard for me to kind of like talk about factory farming versus supporting small farms. For me personally, what I do is I don't consume that much meat because right now, buying things that support animal welfare, like grass-fed meat, it's so expensive, you guys. I choose to reduce my consumption of meat instead. And then for eggs, you guys know I buy pasture-raised eggs. The pasture-raised eggs that we buy are about $5 a dozen. So you figure the regular eggs are about, let's say, $1.25, $1.50. There is a price increase. However, I do believe heavily that pasture-raised eggs are a lot more tastier and healthier than regular eggs. And if you guys don't believe me, you guys can look it up as well. You can see the difference in the yolk. For regular eggs, factory farm eggs, the eggs are super runny. But if you get a pasture-raised egg, it's a lot more solid. It's more healthy for you too. Let me show it to you guys. Look. So if you crack the two eggs side by side, you can see the difference. Come on. Come on. Mink meat? I heard mink meat isn't that tasty. See that? So pasture raised has twice as more omega-3 fat, 3 times more vitamin D, 4 times more vitamin E, and 7 times more beta carotene than traditional eggs. Traditional eggs. See? So the pasture-raised egg, you can see over here on the far left, that looks a lot more yellow than the supermarket or organic. This is the reason why you see me buy pasture-raised. It tastes better, it looks better, and I know the chickens are being treated much more kinder than factory farmed eggs. Mink meat? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd be open to trying it, but they said that the scent gland gives the flavor of meat that most people won't enjoy. I mean, I would try it. I'm not against it. I mean, I eat lamb, right? So I wouldn't be against it. I eat beef, I eat lamb, but I don't think I would make a whole meal out of mink. I just see it as an animal. If you can eat it, then it's fine. Like nobody casts an eye differently on mussels or crab or shrimp, right? No, I really do believe in pasture raised eggs. That's the one thing I don't like compromising on. I would say don't buy cage free because cage free is not as good as pasture raised or free range. Because cage free just means that they're stuck in a hen house, but that doesn't mean they have outdoor access. I believe heavily in chickens having outdoor access, being able to go out in the grass or being able to smell fresh air. I don't like the idea of a chicken being cooped up for its life, its short life. I think chickens only live about 3 months or so before they're dispatched. And even if the chickens have a short life, I want to make sure that they have a quality life. And I don't mind paying $4 extra for pasture raised to try and ensure that. Mmm. Ooh. Yeah, Ziamara says cat meat tastes like rabbit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you talk about that stuff, yeah, you're gonna get canceled fast by animal loving people, right? It's weird because it's like if you talk about eating chicken or lamb, nobody blinks an eye. If you start talking about eating cats or dogs, it's like you're vilified. And my take is like I see an animal as an animal. It's like if you can eat the meat without being poisoned, then it's all fair game. But people, they tend to just like humanize certain animals and not others. Like why are people okay with eating chickens, but then they're not okay with eating a dog or a cat? It's because in our society we're conditioned to believe cats and dogs are superior than chickens, but chickens are actually very intelligent. So are pigs. Right? But that's why I don't like cast the eye towards other countries. I fully believe, though, one thing I think is barbaric is when I think it was certain Asian countries, they believe in hurting the animal first because they believe that the adrenaline will give more flavor to the meat. That I'm really against. But if someone wants to raise like a dog or a cat for meat purposes and they treat it well, I have no problem with it. It's like the same thing. Like if someone raises a sheep and decides to eat it because they want to eat a rack of lamb, I'm not gonna give them crap about it, right? But it's funny how certain animals, it's like we tell ourselves like, yes, if you eat this animal, then you're a bad person. But if you eat certain other animals, then you're normal. I look at like certain countries, like they eat rats. I think in Vietnam they eat rats, and the rats are the ones that live in the rice paddies. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's pretty good. If they want to eat rats, if provided it's a clean rat, not like a New York City rat. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a very sustainable protein source. I think rats have more protein source than beef, if I remember correctly, and they're plentiful. They reproduce quite quickly. But yeah, people are okay with eating rats or the idea of other people eating rats in certain countries, but if they eat a dog or a cat, like, you gotta cancel them. Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I want people to think about things on a bigger scale. I used to be one of those people that looked down on other countries for eating dogs and cats. And then as I got older, I realized, like, I eat beef, and I don't hear other countries, like, I heard Indians, they really respect the cow, and I respect that. They're very much against beef. They think cows are sacred creatures, and you don't hear India saying, oh, let's protest the Americans because the Americans are eating meat. See? It's like you have to have a cultural respect, and just because we live in America doesn't make us right. Doesn't give us authority to look down on other countries and other cultures and say, you guys are wrong. You guys got to be like us. Oh, here we go. I saw Hannah said something. Hannah's not a mod. Okay. So, let's see over here. Yeah. Southeast countries, some of them eat bugs. I tried this thing called bundagi. Let me try this. Silkworm larvae. This was the grossest thing I've ever had in my life. I tried it. Oh, I will never try it again. Look at this. Silkworm pupae. It was disgusting. I think I had it produced wrong. I think it was like slimy bug. It was really gross. But I tried it. This is not really something Americans eat. But I tried it because I was curious about it. I did not care for it. Bundagi. Yeah, this thing. But the South Koreans like it. I tried it in a bar here in Hawaii. Again, I really think they prepared it wrong. It was not stir-fried or anything like that. But yeah, let's look at something else rather than silkworm pupae. But see, like, people in certain countries, they'll be okay with eating stuff like this. But here in America, we're just going to look at it a different way. And that's the truth of the matter, right? It's like you gotta before you like follow any group or any ideology, look again, do your research, and don't assume that everybody in the world has to have your kind of thinking. And I do believe in animal welfare, but I think that if people want to consume animals or harvest animals, then they really should dispatch it quickly. Um, and try to raise it right. I don't, and I've shared with you guys this, right? You guys know my stance on fur. I am a supporter of vintage furs. When it comes to new furs, I'm a lot more apprehensive about what I would recommend, just because I can't guarantee animal welfare, right? But let's put it this way. Let's say if I went to a mink farm and I got to see the minks being raised, and I got to see that, hey, they're being treated well, and I saw them getting, dispatched, and it was quickly and painlessly, would I be against supporting a new mink farm, that specific mink farm? I wouldn't, because I would think to myself, the animals were being raised right. They were dispatched quickly. So I'm not going to have this kind of thought, and I'm not going to say, oh, okay, well, I can't wear mink fur because the animal's a mink. You see, but then you would have to guarantee, and you can't guarantee when it comes to certain countries like China. Like, I don't think, I think you guys will understand where I'm coming from. Like, China is not known for their animal rights. So I would not recommend buying any fur from China for that reason. If it is a fur farm that you know that it's been vetted, or they're very transparent about how their fur is being raised. I heard there's certain fur farms out there where they say, hey, we'll show you how our fur is being, we'll show you the fur farm. If you want to check it out, you could swing by. Same with like some small time farms in New York. They encourage people to swing by. They say, hey, you want to go ascend and see how our cows are being raised? We'll show you. Those are the farms and those are the places we should support as consumers, not the ones who you don't know what kind of atrocities they're doing. So this is the reason why I'm very much on the fence about recommending new fur, because if you buy, let's say, the cheap fur from AliExpress or Wish.com, yeah, you might get a good deal, but I can't say how the animal was raised. See, like, you have that guilt there because you'll say, like, frick, I purchased new fur, but I don't know how it's raised. But if you have, let's say, a vintage fur, you can be removed from it a bit and then say, hey, this fur is already out there, it's keeping me warm, and you can use that to tell people, be very careful about how you purchase your furs, or if you do purchase a fur, make sure you maintain it. I don't take my fur coats for granted at all. I have to do maintenance about them, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I don't want people to just kind of see it from one angle and not think about the bigger thing, because you got people who are against these fur farms, and then they don't realize, like, yeah, these farms are raising rabbits not just for their fur, but they're selling the rabbit meat to consumers. See, look, rabbit meat. If I want to buy rabbit meat, I can buy rabbit meat. See? But I shouldn't be talking about this, right? People would say, why are you eating rabbit? Why don't you just go back to eating beef or lamb or chicken? Those are the animals you can eat. But yeah, you shouldn't be eating rabbit because rabbits are cute like Thumper and Bambi. Think bigger, think bigger, and then just don't follow the masses blindly. And I've shared with you guys, I've had some animal rights people come into here and then tell me things like, oh, shame on you, Erica. If only you knew about how animals are being treated. Oh, shame on you, and this and that. And I'm saying, like, hey, I know this stuff. I've seen the atrocities in some factory farming. And although I'm not willing to be a vegan or vegetarian because I care more about my mental health and my own personal health than animal welfare, it's true. I'm not willing to go deficient on something. And I'm not willing to just make myself a martyr for animals. I rather advocate and I rather support higher animal welfare standards than saying, okay, for me, I'm just going to choose not to be a consumer. You see, like, I know people would say that's a terrible thing to say, but we make more of a difference putting our dollars for pasture-raised eggs, or supporting grass-fed beef, or supporting, wild-caught salmon, than saying, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat the animals at all. And then when you have some people, right, they have health issues and they don't ever want to go back because they say, oh, well, I have health issues, but all I have to do is I just need to find that miracle supplement. It's like, okay, what's the supplement? Oh, I heard I got to supplement with this oil or this supplement. And it's like, dude, it just if you feel like eating something, you shouldn't feel guilty about eating meat. There are some people out there, they eat meat and then they just think to themselves like, oh, I feel so guilty for eating an animal. But they don't realize that if you eat a tomato, think about all the insects that had to die because of the fertilizers, right? Think about the animals that get killed or because of, regular agriculture farming, right? When they bring those like tillers in there and things like that, you don't think animals get caught up in there? Talk about solar farms, right? There's birds that get chopped in half. Nobody talks about the birds. All that thing, Look at this. See? Solar farms kills 140,000 birds annually. Nobody talks about the birds. This solar plant accidentally incinerates up to 6,000 birds a year. See? I've seen it. I knew about this. Do you guys see me against solar energy? No. But I'm not going to say solar is perfect. This is why sometimes when people talk about this stuff, they say like, oh, why don't everybody just move over to solar? It's like, do you think about all the infrastructure that has to be put in place? Okay, not just that, right? Let's talk about wind farms, right? Okay, the world sounds nice if it goes solar and wind farms. You need to have a system in place to make sure it's feasible. It's not just say, oh, let's all go into renewable energy and it's going to happen in a snap. That's why sometimes I have a big beef with someone when someone says, oh, why don't we do better? Why don't we just do the whole Greta Thunberg approach and say we need to demand our politicians do better? It's like, look, it's not just like the politicians snap their fingers and it happens. You have to have a lot of detailed plans put in place, and it costs money. Well, it kills them. Well, if you're cooking the bird, you're killing them too, right? See all this stuff? I don't know. People don't talk about it. If you're talking to certain people, they'll be like, "Oh, it's okay for me to eat. It's okay to me for me to just live off of plants because, that's the more environmentally thing to do." Okay. Let's talk about all the greenhouse gases, all the fossil fuels used to transport products from one place to another. Quinoa, for instance, right? Let's talk about quinoa, okay? Look at this. What's it? Quinoa. Where is it? I think it was a quinoa. They said that some people, they can't afford quinoa anymore because it's like, where is it? See all this stuff like Peru? You think it's going to be very easy to transport quinoa from Peru all the way to Hawaii or New York? No! Like all this stuff requires a lot of packaging. It requires a lot of gasoline. It requires ships and things like that. But then we're led to believe that this is a much healthier source to ship grains across the globe, and that's what we should be going towards. And my whole thing is that I rather have people eat local and eat the local apples. If you live in New York, eat more apples. Eat more local produce instead of just going out there and saying, oh, I'm gonna import quinoa, from Peru. There's a reason why you guys don't really see me eat quinoa, because I think to myself, like, yeah, it's a cool grain and all, but I don't really want to be buying stuff from so far away if I can help it. See, I rather just buy something from California. It's a little closer to me than Peru. Okay, so the idea is to stop killing animals. Oh, here we go. So Stupefy, okay, let's talk about this, right? So Stupefy, I don't know if Stupefy is animal rights or so, but let me ask you this. Do you think about the insects? Do you think that having a vegetarian diet prevents animals from being killed? Because the way I see it as a numbers game, right? I'd rather have one cow killed to feed a bunch of people rather than like a whole field of monocrop agriculture. You see? Like, that's the thing. Like, people think like, oh, okay, we're just gonna live off of we're just gonna like live off of like certain things, and then they don't think about all the transportation and all the, you gotta also think about calories too. Sometimes you see people, and then I don't want to say everybody, but sometimes you see people and it's like you kind of look at them and you're like, man, you guys, you need to eat a burger or something. Like, you can kind of tell, like you see some people and they look kind of sickly, and it's like, and you ask them like, oh, what do you live off of? And they're like, I'm a vegan. It's like, oh, geez, like you need, it's like they need some coloring or something in there, you know? So yeah, just going vegan or vegetarian does not mean that animals don't die. Like, if you think that if you just eat vegetables, animals won't die, then you're living in la la land. Because there's a lot of animals and insects that die from agriculture too. And yeah, I don't think monkeys would farm people because monkeys are, well, let's put it this way, there's more people than there are monkeys. And most people, we don't get too close to monkeys. Actually, if I remember correctly, cows are mostly fed like corn stalks and things like that, right? A lot of the stuff is things that human beings can't consume anyway. Like I said, I get it. People are very passionate about saving the animals, but understand that just going on a vegan or vegetarian diet doesn't mean that no animal has to die. You still have to think about bigger issues here. Like, okay, if you don't eat animal products, how are you ensuring that you have a well-rounded diet, right? How do you know you're not deficient in something? You don't, right? I think that our lives are too short, that if we want to eat something, like, let's say, for instance, right? Let's say you believe strongly in helping out the animals, right? And you tell yourself, you say, hey, I'm going to martyr myself, and if my family wants to eat turkey, or if my family wants to go out to dinner and they want to go to like McDonald's or so, or let's say they want to go out to a steak joint, I'm not gonna share a meal with my family because I care more about the animals. You see, like, I think there's a flaw in that. For instance, right, I recently got invited to eat some dim sum with my family, and I know for a fact there's going to be shrimp there, there's going to be beef there, there's going to be chicken broth there, a lot of pork, all that stuff. I think to myself, like, look, even though I care about the animals, I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, family dinner, sorry, you guys, I can't partake with you guys because I care about the animals. It's like, can you imagine how hurtful it would be if I told my family, I can never eat dim sum with you guys unless we go to a vegetarian place? And they'd be like, why? What's wrong with eating regular dim sum? It's like, oh, well, because I care about the animals. And then what if one of my family members or my grandma really likes going to a certain dim sum place? What am I going to tell my family member? Oh, yeah, we can't go there because I care about the animals. It makes me look like a total jackass because it almost sounds like I care more about the animals than my family and what my family likes. And I know how this will come across, but keep in mind, people bond across food. I believe it's more healthy to moderate your animal protein than it is to completely eliminate a food group. This is the reason why you don't see me eat too much meat, but I still eat meat. I had turkey yesterday. I had chicken yesterday. What else did I have? I probably had fish somewhere, shrimp, all that stuff. And I don't I don't want to just like be one of those people. It's like, oh, I care about the edibles so much. If I want to eat, let's say, a chicken nugget, I can't eat it anymore. I have to eat the vegetable, plant protein, gluten filled options, gluten and soy filled option, because I am a good person who cares about the animals. I hate that stuff. I hate that. So I've tried almost every single gluten, like faux meat kind of thing, and at the end of the day, I find like regular chicken nugget is so much tastier. Corn is pretty good, but I'm not. Corn is expensive. QUORN. They do it pretty well for chicken, but I don't really care for it. Oh, look at this. So stupefy is saying that I'm being a typical Asian. You don't understand. Ah, stupefy. Stupefy, you know what? This is going to sound insensitive, but you probably, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you really should check out your levels. And because I was not so good when I was vegan or vegetarian at all. I'm more balanced eating animal protein. I think there's a reason why our human race developed because of meat. I don't know any person, right, in the Stone Ages who was like, I'm just going to live off lettuce and quinoa and apples. Like, meat is very important to brain development. You can completely disregard me if you want, but I really do believe it. I really do believe that the human diet was primarily based on meat at one point. It wasn't on oranges or Valenciaga oranges or Valencia oranges. They think animals kills you because they're bored. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what Stupefy is saying over here. Something like we're nice because I don't know what is going on over here. We don't know. Stupefy, you need to like check your levels somewhere because you're not making sense. I mean, like, you know what? I mean, here's the thing, right? As I mentioned before, if you care about animals, push for better animal welfare. Just going vegan or vegetarian is not going to change the world. If you go and tell people, hey, I I promote people reducing animal protein, I promote better agriculture standards, better animal welfare standards, making sure that we're being more environmentally friendly and how we're treating the animals, not pumping them with antibiotics and things like that. I think that's a much better image to send out, and that's something people can support. Rather than, oh yeah, if you're not vegan, then you are stupid and you just love killing things or something like that, you see? Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say that. I don't think all farmers abuse their animals, okay? Because I don't fall into that trap. I think factory farming is terrible because sometimes, like, people lose track of how animals are treated. So, as a result of that, right, this is the reason why I advocate okay, buy from a local farmer if you can. Buy pasture raised eggs. If you have a better relationship with your local farmer, you can ensure how those animals are being treated versus some Tyson chicken factory. You see, I have seen multiple videos on YouTube where you have these small, multi-generational, small farmers, and then they're very transparent about how they raise their chickens. They're very transparent about how they slaughter their chickens, and it's a small, it's a small operation. That is a lot more respectful towards the animal than buying chicken from Tyson. However, not everybody has access to small time farmers. I wouldn't even know where to buy small time farmer meat a lot of the times. Like, if you go to a grocery store, you'll see it at like, it's just like USDA meat. Okay, my chicken is from, where's my chicken from? It's like, I think it's Purdue or Tyson mostly. And there's no way around it unless I go to a place and I find a place where they have this, like, a small time farmer chicken. Yeah, people. I think people should lower their processed sugar. I think across the board, everybody would agree with that one. Like nobody said Coca-Cola is good for you, right? Now, I don't think vegans are evil. I think some people do thrive on the vegan diet, but it's not as many as like some vegans want to tell you. They want to make it sound like, oh, okay, if you're on the vegan diet, you can just go without animal products forever. However, if you guys look up certain channels, like there's a YouTube channel called Vegan Deterioration, she's pretty thorough about documenting certain things, and it's like you look at them and you're like, damn, they really deteriorated after a couple of years, like 5 years or something. Freely the banana girl, for instance, she's on a fruitarian diet. I don't agree with that at all. I believe more in the raw vegan diet than I do in the fruitarian, for sure. But I also don't. I don't like to tell people like, okay, the vegan diet is bad for everybody. For me, the vegan diet just doesn't work for me at all. I feel more mentally balanced having some animal product than completely eliminating. And I don't want to live a life where I feel bad about eating certain things, right? I don't want to go to a restaurant and say, oh man, yeah, I can't eat anything here, or oh, you cook it with butter, oh, that's really cruel, how dare you, kind of thing. You look at vegan butter, a lot of it is just like vegetable oil. So I feel much better eating Kerrygold butter in moderation than vegan butter. I don't want to delude myself and say, oh, it's just as healthy as regular butter, kind of thing. People will disagree with me on that. I don't fear cholesterol. I don't feel cholesterol from raw animal products, like in terms of like pork belly, fatty beef, if you just cook it with salt, pepper, that kind of stuff, butter. I'm not scared of that. I'm more worried about things like deep fried foods, sugar sauces, high fructose corn syrup. Oh yeah, Kualoa. Yeah, I bought Kualoa beef before. It's very lean. It's not nearly as fatty as, of course, regular beef. They actually walk their cows around. I've seen the cattle there. Oh, yeah. People eat meat because, I mean, like for instance, right? You look at some people, if they have good nutrition, you can see that they look nice and sturdy. I have never found, and this is just my opinion, I've never seen a vegan or vegetarian that looks very sturdy. Just without supplementation or anything like that. See, like I'm talking about, like sometimes you look at like what was it called, like I want to say like Danish or Norwegian or something like that. You can tell like their bodies look very, very solid. It's like, wow. And then you find out what they eat. It's like meat, potatoes, vegetables, that kind of stuff. It's like, whoa, geez, maybe that's why they look so solid. And I don't mean solid in a bad way. I mean solid like they look very healthy. They look like, they have really good, like, thick bones and things like that. Oh, no, Stupefy, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to like time you out over here. Like, please do not dis dis other people like that. Seriously. Like, don't call the Danish people or the Norwegian people Neanderthals. Like, don't do that kind of stuff. Um, like, that's just ignorant over here. But yeah, you see all the hate that's coming from Stupefy. That's what I don't like. I don't like it when you see sometimes it's like, this is why I say like, hey, when you come at people, you shouldn't be so hateful. Like you see some of these animal rights people, they're just so angry all the time. And I'm like, why are you so angry? Why don't you just say, hey, I don't agree with the way these animals are being treated. Let's push for better legislation. I don't hate you meat eaters. I just care about the animals a lot. So I want, if you guys are going to continue eating meat, let's make sure that they have more space to roam around. Let's make sure that there are more inspectors being sent over to these farms to make sure that we're reducing the animal suffering in case that there's a greedy company out there. You see? I'm fully in support of that kind of stuff. I remember, for instance, right, they wanted to increase the size for, I think, chicken cages or something in California. I don't think anybody would be against it except maybe greedy farmers. But if you want to increase the size of a pen for a chicken a couple feet or 1 feet, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. You know, let's have the chickens live a slightly better life. So don't, you get more people caring more about the animals when you push for stuff like that than calling people Neanderthals or calling people stupid and things like that. Like, you think anybody's going to join do you really think people are going to join your cause, Stupefy, by if you insult another group of people? Like, you've insulted Asians, you've insulted Danish people, Norwegians. It's not good. Like, you don't you don't get people on your side, because if people have to like close their eyes and like, man, I really want to be like a person in chat, they're not gonna say, man, I really want to be all angry like Stupefy, right? Yep. I rather have people more aware about what's going on in factory farms than vilify the meat eaters. You don't like, I know PETA has called meat eaters animal graveyards, and I think to myself, you really think you're going to convert people over to vegetarian or veganism by calling meat eaters animal graveyards? All the meat eaters are going to say, well, if you're going to put it that way, if you're going to call me an animal graveyard, then you know what? I don't like PETA, because I don't want to. People don't want to be insulted, and then they also don't want to. They also don't like it when other people come off as like more morally superior. That's the other thing too, right? If you want to vilify meat eaters as animal graveyards, it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't see. Maybe you'll get like a few people who say, okay, I don't want to be an animal graveyard. Let me go over to veganism or vegetarianism. But then they get down the whole rabbit hole of, okay, they got to make sure that they're eating enough protein. They got to make sure that they're getting enough calories, because, as you guys know, right, you can't, in my opinion, you can't live off salad the rest of your life. You need to get more nutrition than just a bunch of greens. That's just my opinion, right? You got to deal with like healthy fats and things like that. I don't like going on the idea of going on a high sugar, aka fruitarian diet, just because it's, you know, that would be more acceptable than me having like a piece of chicken. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you, Hannah. Hannah mentioned the dairy industry. Yeah, the dairy industry is something that I kind of think to myself, like, I don't know. It's like, I've cut my dairy intake, in case you guys didn't notice, but I used to always cook with butter, and now I've been cutting it a bit more. But yeah, it's not the nicest. I refuse to eat veal for a reason. If I have a dish and it has veal in it, then I'll eat it, but I won't order veal, just because I think it's kind of cruel. It's like you can pick and choose what you want. Like, I don't eat foie gras, the fatty duck liver thing. I don't eat that stuff. I think it's cruel to force feed a goose. And some of these goose, they explode. So however tasty it is, it's like, I can't in good conscience support that. And but if someone wants to eat it, right, I'll just tell them, and if they continue to eat it, it's like, to each their own. I'm not gonna be all like, oh, I hate this person because they eat foie gras, and they are a terrible person. I was like, no, I don't want to live my life hating other people. Like, inform them, and if they still continue to do it, it's like, hopefully they eat less of it. But spread the word, kind of thing. But I don't come at people all angry and like Stupefy over here. I like lentils, but lentils gives me a lot of gas. That's the only downside. Beans and lentils. Ugh. Just I don't like beans too much. It makes me very bloated. Yeah. Yeah, veal is nice. I used to eat veal saltimbocca before, but I stopped eating it after I was more aware of things. But you see, right? Like, I still eat beef. I just don't like eating veal for that reason. Now, you know what the worst thing is? It's worse when people who are vegan and then they choose not to be vegan anymore. You know, some of those vegan YouTubers, right? They say like, "Oh, I'm vegan," and they try the vegan diet for a couple of years. Most vegans, I find, they don't last more than 5 years, for whatever reason. And then afterwards, right? After they go back to like the omnivore diet, even if they preach about animal welfare, even if they say, "Hey, I am a meat eater again, but I choose to go for better quality meats, or I choose not to consume that much." Oh my goodness, the freaking vegan audience like turns on these people so badly. I would never. I mean, like, I would never be vegan. I tried going vegan for a period of my life. It did not work out very good for me at all. But man, like, if you're a vegan YouTuber, you better not ever ever go back to being a meat eater because your audience will hate you. There's this one guy, for instance. His name is John Venus. You guys can look him up. He used to be vegan, and then he did a stream, and then I think people saw eggs was in his refrigerator, so the vegan audience was like, "How come you have eggs in your fridge? I thought you were vegan." And then he had to make this whole video talking about like how he thought he wanted to see if he would feel better if he ate eggs, but he tried it, but he didn't. It didn't go well with him, or he didn't feel like he had much gain, so he's back to being vegan. And the vegans, they never forgot that he had eggs in his refrigerator, and they just crucified him over it. And then people were, vegan YouTubers were making fun of him because they were like, "Oh, this guy says he's vegan. He's not really vegan, even though he ate eggs, and he says he doesn't eat it anymore. Like, he tainted his temple, kind of." And then yeah, he had some sort of health issue or something. He didn't want to talk about it because, if he had mentioned it to his audience would have been like, "Oh, there's a vegan cure for that." He was just tired of it, and so he went back to being a meat eater. He said he was open to hunting his own meat because he wanted to be more in touch with the environment. And he got canceled hard, you guys. Oh my gosh, he got so canceled. And then I think he lost a lot of his audience, so he wanted to be like back to being mostly plant-based or something. But by then he pissed off so many vegans, so much of his audience, that he can't recover back on the algorithm. I feel bad for the guy because he tried a diet, and it didn't work out for him, and he didn't throw shade at the vegans from what I can remember, but he had to constantly be on the defensive about his own health. And I think to myself, like, look, at the end of the day, we're all humans. We should wish the best for a human being. If a human being has health issues because of their diet, wouldn't it be good to tell them, "Hey, take care of your health first. That's number one." You can always circle back and preach about animal welfare or push for better animal welfare standards, but without your health, right, you can't make a big difference on the world. You see, like, if you feel like you're getting sick or something like that, you're not going to be as effective advocating for change in the world if your diet or your health isn't on point. So when people were like coming at this guy, I felt bad for him. I was like, yikes. And he positioned himself as like some kind of vegan nutritionist or vegan coach, and he was telling people, "Oh, come, seek consulting advice." And you guys know that client pool dried up after he said he was no longer vegan, because who the hell wants to have a non-vegan person preaching about vegan advice when that person is no longer vegan? You see? So he lost a lot of subscribers. He lost a lot of money, and he lost sponsors too, if I remember correctly. Okay, so Stupefy is all triggered here. I said, furs, Inuits, PETA, and sealskin, the privileged elitism of PETA. I don't think that causes people to get pissed off. It's true. A lot of people who, if you're going to be preaching about animal, not using furs and things like that, it doesn't hold the same weight if you're living in a first world country, right? If you're living in a remote wilderness area and it's freaking cold, you're going to need something to keep you warm. So I do call that privileged elitism. If you're not living with the Inuits and you're telling the Inuits that they're doing things wrong, basically. Like, what's the solution here? What would the vegans propose for the Inuits? Oh, just get all your food transported in. Why don't you just petition Safeway to plop up a Safeway right in the middle of Alaska, and then yeah, tell everybody to stop hunting. Just go over to the Safeway and buy some carrots and celery and apples and pineapples and plums and pears, and yeah, buy some quinoa, all that stuff. I have a lot of respect for people who live off the land. It's not easy. No, I mean, like, it's true, though. I mean, like, Stupefy should look back into it. It's like, I just say, like, hey, figure out a better way. You know, well, don't throw shade at another person or another culture like that. Right? It is elitism. I mean, like, tell me how that's not elitism, right? Stupefy is just, I don't know what Stupefy's going on. Stupefy's just being angry over here. Stupefy says, you're okay with killing animals for their skin and fur? Really? Use cotton, plant-based cause. Yes, Stupefy. I will, okay, I'll pass forward it. Let's tell the Inuits to start growing cotton, okay? Inuits, if you're over there in Alaska, please grow cotton. It's very water intensive, but I know you can grow it. Yeah, don't hunt the seals and caribou and elk or whatever over there. Just get some cotton. Just grow some, or import them in. Maybe you can make some plant-based cloth from something. I don't know what you can, because I think most of the trees are dead when it's that cold. But yeah, you see, it's like that requires a lot of transportation. That's what Stupefy. Stupefy, if I could, I would love to drop you in Alaska or frigid, remote Canada with the Inuits, and let's see how you survive. Let's see. No, Anya, you're making too much sense. You're making too much sense. Oh, here we go. This is how I know I talk with complete idiots, comparing plants with cognitive animals, which are always slightly different. Okay, you guys, let's do a vote over here. Okay, Stupefy. You know what? How about this? Move to Alaska. And don't have any of your synthetic clothing. Or you can have your synthetic clothes for a week, and then we're going to make you live off the land. And let's see how long you can live without any furs. And you got to hunt your own food. I don't know, maybe you're going to hunt some corn or some apples in Alaska. And let's see how long you last without Whole Foods, Amazon, Safeway. You can get raw materials from there, but you can't buy already produced apples kind of thing. No oranges, nothing. But we'll give you seeds. We'll give you seeds and we'll give you soil. How's that? Why move to the North Pole? Oh, so Stupefy doesn't know why move. Okay. So I'm gonna make you aware of something, Stupefy. There are people who live in Alaska and Canada, and they didn't move over there. They were born there. They were born there. I know Stupefy can't. Stupefy cannot bring themselves to live in Alaska, but they can preach about Alaskans. Right? See that? Stupefy embodies a privileged elitism. See, so Stupefy does not understand why they should move over there. So that tells me out flat out they refuse to move over to wherever the Inuits live. So yeah, if you refuse to live over there, to move over there, how can you provide me a solution if you yourself refuse to live over there? Does that make sense? Oh yeah, why be caveman? See, so Stupefy is insulting the Inuits. See this? See this stuff? This is a Stupefy. You are the reason why I wrote this title. Privileged elitism. Over here. Ah, man. Oh no, you are insulting people. You're calling all the indigenous people, the people who live in remote areas. Like, can you imagine people who live in remote Siberia? Why do you live in remote Siberia? Why weren't you born in Los Angeles? Why weren't you born in Colorado or something? Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. They live in North Pole, poor people. Okay, if I believe, you know what, if reincarnation exists, I hope Stupefy has to live with the Inuits in a future life. If we could, I wish I could just grab Stupefy, drop them off in Alaska, and say, okay, you're more smarter than us, you're more intelligent than us, you show us how it's done. You show us how to live in Alaska. Go, go. Homestead, go for it. No, you can move over there, Stupefy. You wanna show us how it's done? You wanna go throw shade at these cavemen? Show them how to live a better life without having to rely on globalization and transportation so much. I know, stupid. Okay, here's my proposal. Okay, we drop Stupefy off with the Inuits. We give them synthetic clothing. We give them a 1 week supply of food. Okay, we're talking about apples, oranges, quinoa, all that stuff. I even throw in some Gardein over here. The soy meats. Okay, I'll include some Beyond Meat over there. Right. After 1 week, we're gonna take all that away. The synthetic clothing. Actually, we don't even have to. They'll run out. So after all our packaged food and imported food is run out, Stupefy has to learn to live off the land. And I think that would be a great reality series because I love to see how Stupefy is going to live off the land. We'll give them whatever the Inuits use, right? We'll actually have the metal thing. So we'll give an arrow, an axe. I'll include some rope in there. And yeah, show us how it's done, Stupefy. Show us how to live off the land. And I look forward to you growing cotton plants within that week. Or finding the Alaskan cotton field somewhere. How to be cruel? No. We want you to show us how it's done. I think this would be a great reality show. If they had YouTube cameras over there and like, Stupefy is going to show us meat eaters how it's done. Okay, Stupefy. Okay? It's code. Okay? You got to eat something. What are you going to do? Whole Foods doesn't work. Fridge No More doesn't deliver over there. You're not going to get your food in 15 minutes. Come on. You know? All that stuff. That would be... that would be very entertaining. And people would say that's cruel, but I want to see what Stupefy would do, right? Stupefy, go make a fire. Go make a fire. You know what? I'll make it easy. I'll bring a flint. I'll have a first world thing. What was it? Flint and some kind of starter flint. That will make it 10 times easier. No Uber Eats. I know. No Uber Eats. Definitely no Uber Eats. You think the Inuits have Uber Eats? You think they have fridge delivery? No. Nope. So something like 1,000 miles away from the nearest grocery store. No car. We'll give you some, I don't know, whatever they use for transportation over there without the car. And you show us how it's done, Stupefy. Holy Ham Grenade says Stupefy won't even move. The camera would just show him in a fetal position until he drops dead. Yeah, so no, I wanna see it. Okay, if you're gonna be talking that way, Stupefy, right? You're gonna be throwing shade to the Inuits and cavemen, right? You are more advanced than the cavemen, so you should be able to show the cavemen how it's done. We drop you in where the cavemen in. You should be able to make that living happen very quickly. So yeah, we'll give you internet though. We'll give you internet. So if you need to go on Wikipedia, you know how to, or Google how to build a tent or something, we'll provide that. But we're not gonna let you be there by yourself. You'd have Google as your resource. You can watch some YouTube videos how to live off the land. Unfortunately, I don't think carrots grow that quickly in a week. But yeah, you'll be around a bunch of seals. You'll be around caribou. You'll be around some wildlife. I don't think you can eat tree bark. You can live off snow. Lots of snow. Yeah, and that's it. So you show us how it's done. I'll include a little plot garden in there. How's that? 5 foot by 5 foot garden, and I'll include some soil, organic fertilizer, a bunch of seeds in there, apple tree seeds and things like that. Show us how it's done in 1 week. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, let's see how Stupefy does it, right? Vegan survivor, you know? It's like yeah, it's like what was it called? Yeah, was it called Survivor? You know, the one where they had to live off the lands? I think it was called Survivor, right? Just like that, but we'll just kick it up a couple of notches. Too slow. Yeah. So, but you know what, Stupefy, how about this? We'll help you out. We'll give you a bunch of people from PETA, and we'll give you a tribe of people. We'll get 15 people who are PETA supporters, right? Who are against the Inuits and things like that. Drop you plus 15 people. That way you got 16 people over there, and you will have a village of animal rights people helping you out, try to make this vegan village. In 1 week, and yeah, no imported stuff really though. But if you want some cotton sheets, I think we can make that work. But it has to all be biodegradable. That's a thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll like make a tree house or something. Yeah, foraging. Yeah, foraging. But foraging, right? You have to. How do you forage when there's no berries out there? How do you forage when there's no wheat field out there? Ah, okay. So Stupefy, right? Instead of laughing. Yep. Hannah brings it up, right? Telling indigenous people they're cavemen for living in their homeland is ignorant. That's why I say, you know, Stupefy thinks they can do it better. Let's have him show us how to live among the Inuits. I would encourage that. I support that, actually. Have a web camera. Let's see how Stupefy lives. You can turn on the donations, and we'll see Stupefy's first day in Alaska. No, I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing insults come from Stupefy, but I'm not seeing any wording over here. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So Stupefy, this is where you would be. Okay, this would be you. So yeah, we will bring Stupefy over there. Oh look, there's a tent here. Okay, there's a tent. These people look very toasty and very warm. Let's see here. This is Inuit art. Very, very cold looking. What else do we got here? Okay, here you go. This looks perfect. This looks perfect. This is going to be the greatest place to grow some cotton. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Okay, I won't diss you over there. Maybe you can. But something tells me. Okay, yeah. So we will wait for you to show us how it's done. Remember, no car over here. This is gonna be like Reverent. You know, the Leonardo DiCaprio one. Living off. It's gonna be a combination of what's that thing? Castaway plus Reverent plus Survivor. And yeah. Yeah, it looks like all those colors come from the snow and snee. Yes, that is the case over here. They do have a lot of snow. So if you can live off of shave ice, maybe, maybe you'll stand a fighting chance. But yeah, we're gonna get see this. Okay, we'll give you sled dogs. How's that? We'll give you sled dogs. Now, what you are gonna feed your sled dogs? I think not to be cruel or anything, we will feed your sled dogs meat. But for you, you don't get any because that's cruel. So I'm not gonna expect the dogs to find some peas or carrots or something like that. But yeah, see this stuff. So yes, don't be surprised